Coldplay have successfully secured a permanent position in Britain's music elite, with current global album sales in excess of 32 million. The group's emergence seemed perfectly timed as they quickly became one of the biggest bands of the new millennium.
It was a product of the time, I suppose. It was refreshing in the midst of a lot of very more angry-sounding music that was quite popular at the time.
No one is more surprised by their popularity than the band itself. Their musical greatness dogged by personal modesty and insecurity.
Well, this is weird. A lot of people say to us, how do you feel being famous and all that now? We honestly feel like we're still got everything to prove, you know. It's frightening because I don't even regard us as having sold one record for some reason.
Their unlikely pop star persona did not affect their popularity, as Coldplay toured the globe, topping chart sales with 3 successful albums and a live DVD. Coldplay seemed unstoppable. The band, however, did press pause, taking time out to pursue social and political activism and to reflect on their journey. The pressures of success, Chris's musical insecurities, and his high-profile marriage into Hollywood all taking their toll. The biggest battle for Coldplay was to sustain their musical integrity.
Making sure that everything we do is as sincere and melodic as we can make it.
In Coldplay's 4th album, Viva la Vida, Chris describes the album as a new direction from their past 3. Their musical experimentation and altruism, however, still remains, as they continue to create exciting new music, delighting fans with free downloads and complimentary performances. How did 4 working-class would-be school teachers become one of Britain's greatest musical exports? The momentous union happened in 1996 when 4 young students enrolled at University College London. Chris, Johnny, Guy and Will all shared a passion for music that would soon catapult them into the hearts of a nation.
The way our band got together isn't that rock and roll really, because we were in London at college. I saw Johnny and he could play guitar like the guy out of the Stone Roses. Yeah, he was great.
Chris and Johnny started playing music together and writing, and then they heard Guy playing. He had a Fender Rhodes in his room, and they heard the sweet music coming from Guy's room, so they went round and had a look and noticed that he had a bass as well, so they asked him to join. A few months later, when they struggled to find a drummer, they asked if I would give it a go, so I gave it a go.
We had this thing called the Wall of Praise to ourselves. It really was like a shrine to ourselves. And the first thing we put up was this EP. We did this 4-track thing, which was like 3 copies. Next to that, we put a list of what we wanted to do, and it was like, play first gig, release something, get record deal, etc. Like all these big things. And, you know, basically go on to rule the world sort of thing. And then we'd just fill this wall with anything, any mention. It used to be like tiny mentions in the NME, and then eventually it was like whole pages from the NME.
But it was also really reassuring to see that, like, every month or every 2 months, you know, another one of these things would be crossed off the list, and it was like, bloody hell, it's actually going somewhere, you know, it's moving.
Rehearsals kicked off in Chris and Johnny's flat in North London, and it wasn't long before they landed their first gig under their original name, Starfish.
Our very first gig, like 10 years ago, in this tiny little pub in Camden called the Laurel Tree, and it's just so strange just to kind of look at our haircuts and see what we're wearing. And we don't really look back on those performances and do anything other than just smile, I think, especially that first gig. I mean, you know, that was our first ever show. We were absolutely terrified. I seem to remember just that just almost sick feeling before we went on stage. I can still remember that very well.
Under their new name, Coldplay released their EP Safety, printing 500 copies, 450 of which are said to have gone straight in the bin. Coldplay busily made strikes through their band plan, culminating in a 5-album record deal with Parlophone on April 1st, 1999.
We got signed about a month before our exams, and so we thought, I mean, at that point it seemed kind of pointless not to do them, and so we just thought, oh well, might as well.
Later that year, Blue Room became their first EP with Parlophone, which spurred the band to make a full-length record. In 2000, Shiver became the first release from the new album, but it wasn't until the song Yellow emerged that Coldplay felt they'd really broken through.
Look at the stars.
That song had just come on the radio, and we were about to play a festival in Scotland called Tea in the Park. And we were playing in King Tut's Wawa tent, which was just a kind of, you know, where the new bands played.
Yeah, they were all.
And I remember just being overwhelmed by the amount of people that tried to get in and watch us play. And apparently people were kind of like crawling underneath the sides of the tents and stuff to get in, and it was just, you know, the Scottish people are notoriously a good crowd, but that was the first time we were just totally blown away by anyone's reaction. So I would say that as the moment.
Oh, what a thing to have done. And it was all yellow.
That is interesting, the video record, the world record for the most number of layers worn by a singer. Put image to the wind, 8 layers, 3 vests, 4 shirts and an anorak.
To something beautiful. And you know I love you so. You know I love you so.
Chris always talks about songs arriving. He doesn't know where they come from, they just kind of pop up. It became our kind of passport, really. It became something that allowed us to go to America, go to Europe and to Australia. And it allowed us to go everywhere, and it was a product of the time, I suppose. Maybe a refreshing song in the midst of a lot of very more angry-sounding music that was quite popular at the time.
I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do. 'Cause you were all yellow.
Yellow was our biggest single so far, and that got to number 4 in the UK. And it was good that did well, because it really reflected how we were feeling at the time.
Look at the stars.
We were very lucky that that song arrived to us and not Travis.
And all the things that you do.